Where are universities? And universities are the starting point of entrepreneurship. I would call it as a system. We talked about mindset, and my friend Saravanan, I dropped him to this event as well. He is my alumni colleague from AC Tech, Anna University. And now he has climbed up the ladder. Now he is the principal of Kumaraguru College. Yes, so he brought up about the concept of mindset, and Mr. Daniel brought to the point, can that be taught? Well, these are all vernaculars, but universities are ideally placed to do this, to build and support an ecosystem. I'm not saying that whether one can create an innate nature, which is like innovative spirit or entrepreneur spirit. But if everybody gives up that this cannot be taught and one has to only go to certain sections of the society and do it, then it's not for all. We don't want things to be only pocketed to some section, but what can be done? That's what universities and the governments are there to provide a supportive system. So I would call, how do you build a good society? You need to have a system that builds a good society. Your parents, your family, your neighborhood, your government support system, your country's policies and support. So that ecosystem can be built rather in a very diplomatic fashion. The ecosystem can be nurtured and supported through universities. That's how I put it. So universities play an important role. I'm not saying university is going to instruct, university is going to teach, university is going to imbibe something which you cannot be doing. No, university are centrally located or ideally located to create a system, nurture and help to grow. Okay, I'll bring you, Mr. Raghavan said about US systems. Well, the startup ecosystem basically started some 113 or 115 years ago, way back in 1909, because this history is important. How did it become? Well, when we started in 1909, there was a company called Federal Telegraph Communication System, came up in the valleys in California, in San Francisco, because of an idea of a student, nurtured by a professor, and funded by the president of Stanford University. So this is what I call it as university providing a system. The idea came out of class discussion, but that didn't stop. Then the student had its own enthusiasm or gotten some ideas from somewhere, went to his tutor, then they both combined together and they were looking for the money. Where did they go? At the start of the 20th century, in 1909, if my memory serves me correctly, they went to the president of Stanford University, who gave $500, and that created a company called Federal Telegraph Communication. So that's so it is clear. I don't simply believe in history, but still there are models, documented models will show that universities play a central part. Then come down to 1938, that everybody knows. William Hewlett and David Packard and Professor Terham. That was his idea, audio oscillator. There came Silicon Valley. So universities again played a part. 1938, 39, there was a triangle thing which he said, the entrepreneur skills in Hewlett and Packard out of their garage. You know, many companies came out of garage and came out of even kitchen cloth and kitchen papers, right? So that was the thing. Then Professor Terrell nurtured them. That's what I say. Well, it was outside the class. It was outside the syllabus-based instruction, but he nurtured. And then the system supported, the ecosystem supported, and then the whole concept of startup system and translational research evolved with the creation of university-based research parks. In 1958, full-fledged Stanford Research Park came, which became the headquarters of HP, and that started the revolution. So that is how it is. That's then fast forward to 2000. So I gave you an example since the beginning of 2000, how the universities played a role. Why universities play a role? I'll come to that and then I'll shut up. So then fast forward to 2000, in the middle of the plain land, if you come to Lubbock in West Texas, you can see the end of the world. because the land is totally flat, ideal for cotton growing, ideal for cattle raising. And if luck permits, good Lord permits, you may strike millions and become rich because of oil wells. That's what it is. That's where I'm sitting. My office is in the west end of the town. My lab is in the west end of the town. If you drive down from where Cameron sits to my place, 10 miles, you can see cotton fields. So how did this place? That's what I say. Core competency, and one point, core competency plus strategic strength. Core competency is at the individual level, whereas strategic strength is at the collective level. Somebody can be good in math. I'm an Indian. I'm an old school Indian guy who was schooled there. So, and then I went to England and I'm here. So I could see three systems, how it worked. So that is core competency is an individual level structure. Then you go to the other structure is strategic strength. Why innovations come? So we can't compete with Stanford. We can't compete with MIT. But there are certain things. But Ram is same. Whether Ram is here or Ram had been at MIT, I'd been to MIT, I'd been to Stanford. I'm still the same. So my core competency remains same. But what is that will help me to be an innovator is the system and the strategic strengths that will help me to grow. Here, particularly in West Texas, if you are working with cotton, because people understand, the financial guy understands, the system understands, the local policymaker understands cotton, the local policymaker understands cattle ranching, the local policymaker understands oil well. Similarly, if you go to Coimbatore, where Professor Venkatachalam is there, Saravanan is there, people understand knitted goods, people understand garments, people understand spinning. So that's what it is. So the universities serve as a connecting line between policy makers, between individuals, between the system. The system is financial support. So you need all this. So that's what universities do. Universities try to connect, try to nurture the talent. So fast forward, I said, I'll give you a story. In 2000, nobody ever thought of doing translational research at Texas Tech, but we were strategically located to carry forward cotton-based research, and we were one of the first groups at Texas Tech to commercialize a product which every major government agency in the United States uses. So universities play a part in nurturing the talent, in connecting the dots, and enabling the ecosystems, whether it is at the individual level or at the collective level. So that's very important. So it's a distribution of information, distribution of idea. And I'm a champion of Kural. So I'll end up with it. So you need to distribute to the talents and to the specific strategic core points to build. Velanmai is not simply agriculture. Velanmai means development. So So universities have a role, and it has been established for 115 years, whether it's here or in India. Why do we neglect India? Indian universities, particularly IIT, in particular IIT Madras, pioneered the startup culture, and it was around 1,000 in 2016. Philip alluded to the fact today the registered startups in India are 69,300 something. How this happened? Because the universities have a role to play, so that it has to metamorphosize by being a teaching institution. I know the beginning of KCT. I know the beginning of NREM, right? So translate them from being a teaching institution to research institution to a translational hubs. So United States now they don't call it as universities anymore. They are calling it as innovation hubs. So universities have a key role to play, but we don't say that we are the solution for all. We have a critical role to play because startups play a role. Countries can be built up with startups. And I'm not telling. There is a very popular book, Startup Nations. Nations become rich because of startups, provided you have risk-taking attitude, but you got to be cautious on that. So thank you. And I am very thrilled that such discussions are happening. That itself is a startup. Thank you.